Anna Katharine Green is behind almost every recognizable convention of the mystery genre as we know it today. All right, folks, it's time. Time to introduce you to the mother of detective fiction. Her name is Anna Katharine Green, and she has been overshadowed and forgotten, another forgotten female of history. But she wasn't forgotten by her contemporaries. And that's why today I will be introducing you to Anna Katharine Green via the words of Wilkie Collins, who is probably most well known for writing The Moonstone, as well as Woman in White. Now, he was a British author of mystery fiction in the time that Anna was writing. Her first book, The Leavenworth Case, came out in 1878. That's right, her Detective Gryce came out 9 years before Sherlock Holmes, and in fact inspired his creation with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. But we'll get to her connection with him next month. This month, I want to focus on her connection with Wilkie Collins and how he inspired her work and how he viewed her publication of The Leavenworth Case. I want to begin by reading a letter that Wilkie Collins wrote to Putnam, the publishers of Anna Katharine Green's The Leavenworth Case. Now, he wrote this letter in 1883, and I think it is one of the highest endorsements that any author could receive, but especially a young woman who is striking out on her own, under her own name, to publish her very first mystery novel. Have I read The Leavenworth Case? I have read it through at one sitting. Need I say after that what I think of it? Yes, because I have a word to add about Miss Green's future work. Her powers of invention are so remarkable. She has so much imagination and so much belief, a most important qualification for our art, in what she writes, that I have nothing to report of myself so far but most sincere admiration. Now I get out of the pulpit and take my leave in the character of a reader. Dozens of times in reading the story, I have stopped to admire the fertility of invention, the delicate treatment of incidents, and the fine perception of the influence of events on the personages of the story. The treatment, in Book 3, of Mrs. Belden's character shows such difficulties mastered and such truth and subtlety. It produced, in one word, such a strong impression upon me that I looked at the chapter for the second time, and the result was renewed appreciation. There I found my reason for believing that Miss Green has capacities for presenting character, which she has not yet sufficiently cultivated. In the meantime, she has my hearty congratulations on what she has already accomplished, and my earnest good wishes for the future. Very truly yours, Wilkie Collins. Now, can you just imagine for a minute Anna Katharine Green receiving this letter via her publisher and getting to hear from Wilkie Collins, one of the most inspirational authors to her and her writing, to hear that he thought she was a master? I can't even imagine her joy. Now, Anna Katharine Green was not the only one who appreciated receiving such a letter. In fact, George Putnam reprinted the letter in an article in The Critic in 1893 in response to some disparaging remarks. Here's what he wrote. To the editors of The Critic. In The Critic for January 14th, quotation is made from a recent article in the London Spectator, the writer of which has apparently proved, to his own satisfaction at least, the marked inferiority of women as writers. The Spectator says, speaking tentatively and with no pretense to assurance, for the problem is difficult and obscure, we are disposed to think that the faculties in which women, otherwise intellectual and cultivated, are notably deficient, are imagination and construction. It may be of interest to the readers of The Critic to have placed before them, for consideration, in connection with the above rather sweeping conclusion, the following extract from a letter written to myself in 1883 by Wilkie Collins. The author of The Woman in White had certainly secured for himself full recognition on the part of the reading public on both sides of the Atlantic as a writer, by no means deficient in constructive power or in imagination. And it is, I suppose, fair to assume that he possessed also the capacity for judging such qualities in other writers. He then shares what I just read to you. In conclusion, he writes, Mr. Collins evidently took the ground that literary and artistic productions should be judged for themselves, and without any distinction as to the age, sex, or previous condition of servitude of the producers. As a publisher, I am myself inclined to contend that this is the only legitimate method of securing an impartial and adequate judgment concerning such productions. New York, 18th of January, 1893. George Haven Putnam. So how did Wilkie Collins inspire Anna Katharine Green? Well, he had written the first English detective novel, full-length novel, in 1868, and it was called The Moonstone. Now, in my book, I absolutely have Anna reference reading The Moonstone because it was incredibly inspirational to her, and it would be just a few years later that she would begin writing her own novel, The Leavenworth Case, though it would be a full 10 years, not until 1878, that she would get The Leavenworth Case published. Now, what did Collins do in The Moonstone that was so unique and so different? Well, one of the things he did was he had multiple points of view. The Moonstone is told not from one narrator's perspective, but it instead is a collection of different diary entries and letters and statements taken from the people who were there the night of the crime. Now, the first time that Collins had done this was actually in A Woman in White, and it was considered mind-blowing when he did that. So now in The Moonstone, Collins reintroduces us to this idea of multiple points of view and then pulls them all together to solve a mystery as a detective novel. Here are a few other things that Collins introduced in The Moonstone that you might find incredibly familiar if you've read any mystery. An English country house robbery, an inside job, red herrings, a celebrated, skilled professional investigator, a bungling local constabulary, detective inquiries, a large number of false suspects, the least likely suspect, a reconstruction of the crime, and a final twist in the plot. Now, all of those ideas might make you think those are very basic, but somebody had to do them to inspire future generations. Now, in future videos, I'll be going into more detail of how Anna Katharine Green added to that list, improved upon it, and became the mother of detective fiction. I am so excited to continue to introduce you to Anna Katharine Green. She is so much fun to reintroduce to the world because she has impacted the way we write mystery and read mystery in so many ways. It's important to note that Anna did not just copy Collins and Gaboriau and all of these other authors who had come before her. No, she took what they had created, the idea of a detective solving a mystery as the leading aspect of the novel, and turned it into something American. She made it popular in America. She put New York City on the map as a top location to be used by future mystery authors. In fact, today it seems odd to us to consider that anyone would not consider setting their story in New York City. In future videos, I look forward to going into further detail about how Anna Katharine Green is behind almost every recognizable convention of the mystery genre as we know it today. She was linked with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Agatha Christie, Dorothy L. Sayers, and so many more recognizable names. Thank you for joining me today. Be sure to include any questions in the comments below and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so you'll be the first to know when I post my next video. I post every Saturday and then I go live every last Saturday of the month. I look forward to sharing more with you about my current work in progress featuring Anna Katharine Green and telling you more about my previous books in the Spokane Clock Tower Mystery Series, which has the first 3 released already, book 4 coming soon. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a good weekend.